Let's take a time machine back to the Roman Empire in the year 40 AD. The infamous Emperor Caligula is in his palace, preparing for one of his legendary parties. And guess what? You're invited! But be careful, Caligula's a bit of a character. Some might even say he's completely bonkers, and he loves to make a spectacle of himself. Now, there are plenty of stories and legends surrounding Caligula, but we don't know exactly which ones are true. But there's one thing that everyone seems to agree on: Caligula was a party animal. Welcome to History on Fleek. Today we examine the extravagant world of the one and only Emperor Caligula, the myth, the absolute madman. Emperor Caligula was born as Gaius Julius Caesar Augustus Germanicus in 12 AD. He was the third emperor of the Roman Empire and succeeded Tiberius in 37 AD. At just 25 years old, he became the youngest person to ever hold the position. But maybe handing an empire to someone so young isn't the best idea. His reign lasted just 4 years, and those 4 years were the wildest the empire had ever seen. In that time, he managed to leave a lasting impression on history, and by lasting impression, we mean a reputation for being one of the most depraved and insane leaders in all of Roman history. You know that saying that goes like, absolute power corrupts absolutely? Well, Caligula proved that it's not just a cliche. Even though his reign lasted for a short time, it was certainly eventful. He had a larger-than-life personality, and he was not afraid to show it off. He was known for his extravagant tastes, from the fine clothes he wore to the lavish meals he consumed. But it wasn't just his material possessions that set him apart. Caligula had a reputation for being downright bizarre. And he wasn't just content with having a good time. Oh no! Caligula had to take things to the next level. Take his horse, for example. Now, I know some of you might be horse lovers, but even you have to admit that giving your companion a marble statue and plans for political office is a bit much. I mean, you can love your pets as much as the next person, but there's not a lot of people who nominate their cats for president, are there? And let's not forget about Caligula's lunar fixation. The man was convinced that he was a god and would spend hours staring at the moon, trying to communicate with it. I mean, we've all tried to talk to some inanimate objects at some point in time.
You talking to me?
But the moon? That's some next level weirdness. But who are we to judge, right? Well, it gets even weirder from here. Because nothing says sane and rational like declaring war on a body of water. Yeah, this guy really took the phrase making waves to a whole new level. Him being convinced that he's God should have been our first clue that he wasn't quite all there. In his quest to prove his divine status, he ordered his soldiers to attack the waves with their swords, because apparently the sea was his mortal enemy. Now, that's a battle that even Aquaman might have struggled with. But that wasn't enough for Caligula. Oh no, he had to go and build a bridge across the Bay of Naples, just to show that he could. This was no ordinary bridge, mind you. It was a triumph over nature itself. Or at least, that's what Caligula claimed. Nobody knows what exactly he was trying to prove, but it was probably something along the lines of, "Look at me, I can make a bridge, therefore I am a god." Classic Caligula, right? Well, maybe not. It's easy enough to laugh at Caligula's antics, but the truth is, he was a dangerous and cruel ruler. He had a penchant for executing people at random, and he even had his own mother and brother put to death. But it's hard to deny that the man had a certain flair. I mean, you have to admire his commitment to being completely bonkers. Oh boy, where do we even start with Caligula's love life? The man was a walking soap opera, complete with scandals, intrigue, and a healthy dose of good old-fashioned incest. That's right, we're talking about Caligula and his love for his sisters. You were warned in the beginning. Let's start with the marriages. Caligula had a few of them, as you do when you're an emperor with a bit of a wandering eye. His first wife was named Junia Claudia, but she died under mysterious circumstances. Big shocker there. Caligula then married Livia Orestia, but he divorced her after a few short months because, well, let's just say they didn't exactly hit it off. But it was Caligula's relationship with his sisters that really takes the cake. He had 3 of them, Agrippina the Younger, Drusilla, and Livilla. And let's just say that he was a bit too fond of them. Oh, God. he reportedly had sexual relationships with all three of them, which, as you can imagine, didn't exactly go over well with the Roman public. You keep it in the family, but that's just taking things too far. According to the stories, Caligula was absolutely obsessed with Drusilla. He was so infatuated with her that he declared her a goddess, and even had temples built in her honor. Because that's completely normal. But Caligula's questionable romantic decisions didn't stop there. He was also known for his affairs with married women, which, as you can imagine, didn't exactly endear him to the husbands of said women. In fact, it's said that Caligula once seduced the wife of a senator. And when the senator found out, he publicly denounced Caligula in the Senate. Talk about awkward! And if all that wasn't enough, there were also rumors that Caligula had a violent homosexual relationship with a poor slave. Now, we don't know for sure whether or not these rumors are true, but hey, with everything else going on, it wouldn't even crack the top 10 on his list of offenses. Caligula's private parties. Now there's a topic that's sure to make your ears perk up. If you thought his love life was scandalous, just wait till you hear about these shindigs. First things first, let's talk about the types of parties Caligula would throw. From what we know, they were definitely not your average get-togethers. We're talking wild, debaucherous affairs with all sorts of illicit activities. Think drinking, gambling, and of course, sex. Lots and lots of sex. But that's not all. Well, let's just say that some of the things that went on in these parties aren't fit for polite conversation. So, who exactly participated in these parties? Well, if you were anyone important in Rome at the time, chances are you got an invitation. Senators, high-ranking officials, and other members of the elite were all said to have attended Caligula's infamous soirees. And let's just say that they weren't exactly innocent bystanders. Many of them were active participants in the debauchery. Some of the most notorious parties thrown by Caligula included a feast where he had guests dine on the brains of condemned prisoners, and a gathering where he forced his guests to watch as he had sex with his sister. Yes, that sister. And let's not forget the time he had a bunch of people thrown into an arena and forced them to fight to death for his own entertainment. One of Caligula's most infamous parties was his Little Boots Party, which was actually Caligula's nickname. Legend has it that Caligula threw a party to end all parties, a lavish affair that lasted for days and was attended by some of the most important people in Rome. It was said to have cost a fortune, with the emperor going all out to impress his guests with the finest food, wine, and entertainment. Picture this: Caligula, decked out in all his finery, strutting around a hall dripping with gold and precious gems like a peacock on parade. And the guests? Well, let's just say they were living the high life, indulging in exotic foods and wines, and taking home expensive gifts. But this wasn't just any old party. This was Caligula's shindig, and you better believe he spared no expense. Some accounts even claimed that he had a special hall constructed just for the occasion, because why not? Caligula's parties are perhaps his most enduring legacy, and not in a good way. His wild and scandalous events helped to cement his reputation as a cruel and debauched ruler, and they undoubtedly played a role in his downfall. By throwing these extravagant parties, Caligula was sending a clear message to the people of Rome. He was a man of excess and indulgence, and he would stop at nothing to satisfy his whims. And while some may have been impressed by his wealth and power, others were appalled by his behavior, especially given that he was supposed to be the leader of Rome, a city that prided itself on its morals and values. But the parties were also a double-edged sword for Caligula. While they helped to solidify his reputation as a madman, they also contributed to his downfall. By alienating the very people he was supposed to be leading, senators, officials, and other members of the ruling class, Caligula made enemies. And when he was assassinated in 41 AD, it was in no small part because of his reckless and irresponsible behavior. So while Caligula's parties may have been the stuff of legend, they were also a contributing factor to his ultimate downfall. And today, they serve as a cautionary tale about the dangers of excess and indulgence, reminding us that even the most powerful among us are not invincible. From his infamous Little Boots Party to his orgies and acts of violence, Caligula spared no expense in his pursuit of pleasure and excess. His parties remain a fascinating and disturbing chapter in the history of the Roman Empire, a testament to the extremes that those in power will go to in pursuit of their desires. This is History on Fleek, and we'll see you next time.